Mind for us is not a thing of a certain dimension, a certain color. Mind is a faculty of human intelligence, such as the faculty of focusing is of the eye, and the faculty of attunement is for the ear, to hear near and far, or to see near and far for focusing. So mind is a faculty of human intelligence. Now when we talk about human intelligence, we mean what others mean, theologically speaking, soul or spirit. We don't call it soul or spirit, we call it human intelligence. Why don't we call it soul? Because in physics, the soul is the form and shape of things. And spirit is the energy of matter. And we get all confused then. So in order to get away from that confusion, we call it human intelligence and its faculty mind. We cannot separate mind from human intelligence. It's a unit, something like we cannot separate the focusing faculty of the eye from the eye. It's a part of it. So we say that mind is like a focusing or a tuning of seeing and hearing of the eye and ear, but this is of the mind. The mind focuses its or tunes its self or through human intelligence to the brain. And whenever human intelligence focuses or attunes the mind to the brain, at that point in the brain develops a frequency or a modulation or excitation or vibration, you could say, that can be measured, detected and measured with the EEG. So then we can know where human intelligence operating from, in what region of the brain, if it's in beta, in the blue region of the chart like we noticed before, or in the alpha, the center part of the brain, or theta or delta. You see, we go through all those stages when we go to sleep. And the brain slows down its frequency to the point as it was when we were born, you see. We make several trips during the night. Each one trip of sleep and dream cycle, they call it, takes about an hour and a half on the average. So we have so many hour and a half cycles per night in this sleep and dream type of cycling or functioning. So the brain slows down and comes up again to its full activity, 20 vibrations on the average, every time we go to sleep, and it does it several times. So in this case, we will know, or can know, where human intelligence is focusing its mind onto the brain because of the vibration it develops, a rhythm that you can detect and measure. Otherwise, if mind is not focused on that portion of the brain discharges erratically, occasionally, because it's alive, but it's not developing a rhythm to it that can be measured, like we can with EEG. So then we know where mind is functioning from, or at, from the brain, and what it can do once it's functioning within that dimension of brain. What it can do in beta, what it can do in alpha, what it can do in theta or delta. So mind is a faculty of human intelligence. Now the brain, we call it a biological computer. We can program it with our thoughts, you see. In other words, what is a program? A program is altering a state or a condition in matter. If we alter a state or condition in matter, we call it programming. In this case, we can program the brain by simply desiring to walk towards a door, and the brain already has a program, and it will move your legs to take you to the door, if this is what you desire. So the same thing here, you desire is a programming faculty to program the brain to act accordingly in what you want to do in your environment. So the brain is a biological computer, mind is a faculty of human intelligence. Human intelligence is what others call soul or spirit. You see, we function in two dimensions, almost simultaneously. When we're in one, we're going to be in the other, and vice versa. That means human intelligence can operate from the spiritual dimension, meaning when we talk about a spiritual dimension, we mean a subjective dimension. We mean a non-physical, non-material dimension, an intangible, invisible dimension. So we say the mind reigns in the invisible world of the mind, and the body reigns in the visible world of the body, which means there's two different dimensions, two different worlds, the world of the mind and the world of the body. Mind is an intangible, it's an invisible something. Human intelligence is an invisible something. It functions in the invisible world of the mind. There's more things that are invisible to our biological senses than what we can detect with biological senses, really. So when we talk about mind, we say everything has to be mind first before we can materialize or act on. The world of the mind always leads the world of the body. The world of the body, world of physics, is a shadow of what takes place in the world of the mind. Everything has to first take place in the world of the mind before it can take place in the world of physics. That's how important the use of the mind is. Mind is a common denominator. You improve the functioning of the human mind, you improve humankind in general. Mind applies on everything. You were mentioning as to in what area do we benefit using mind in health, for instance. Health. Well, what hurts the body, meaning health? We have psychological problems, mental health problems, or biological, organic health problems. We can have problems in the world of the mind, in the visible world of the mind, or we can have problems in the visible world of the body. Now, when we talk about health, we mean mental and body health. We talk about both of them to be healthy. If you're sick in one area, it's going to influence the other part, and vice versa. So then, what hurts, what causes diseases and ailments? First of all, we talk about wrong way of living. Ignorance in what not to do. We are learning as to what we're not supposed to do, and sometimes even though we know we're not supposed to do it, we do it anyhow. So then this is called stress in living. Stress hurts the way of life. How does it hurt? Stress hurts, first of all, the immune system. And the immune system is a mechanism that God included in the biological body to heal itself automatically. Because God, we feel, is not looking over us every second of the day. So God created the immune system to take care of us, health-wise. Now, what hurts the immune system? What weakens the immune system? We say stress. There are three major stressors that cause the worst condition in the body or mind of the human being. And those three worst or major stressors are: the number one that hurts the immune system the most is called guilt complex, meaning consciously doing something wrong and you consciously continue to do it. That's the worst ones of all. They're blaming the smoking hurting the lungs for that one. They're causing or blaming cancer and AIDS because it has to do with weakening of the immune system on that particular one. The worst one of all is guilt complex. Consciously knowing that you're doing whatever you're doing is wrong, and you consciously continue to do it. You wonder sometimes if people did not have so much, have heard or read or whatever, how smoking hurts the lungs, they develop a guilt complex. If they had not developed a guilt complex, maybe the immune system would have taken care of the smoke that could hurt the lungs or take care of the injured part and never go beyond that. But since there's a guilt complex here that weakens the immune system, then the immune system allows the smoke to hurt the lungs. In other words, it's something like what gets there first, the chicken or the egg concept. Now, the same thing is said for cancer and AIDS right now. They are blaming this guilt complex for those who develop cancer and AIDS also. Now, we're going into, for instance, the second worst or most dangerous, or let's say the one that hurts the most the body in second place, second term, would be having lost something of great value, a stress building, and not able to replace it or recuperate it. Losing something of great value, maybe a loved one, maybe a husband or wife dies, or a big business. A little later, the owner will feel getting sick, and before you know it, he develops cancer. Well, that's the second worst of the stressors, major stressors that hurt the body the most. Now, the third one is living or working under conditions that you hate, but there's no way that you can remedy it. There's no way to correct it. Like it or not, you have to continue. There are many minor stressors, and that if you group them, they might equal a major one. And the minor stressors are concerned that maybe you will not have enough to meet the note at the bank when it becomes due, the payments for the television or car or whatever, payments, debt that you commit and you're not able to meet with them or pay them on time or whatever. This concern, this worry develops into a stress factor. And a group of those could equal a major stressor. And it can hurt just as much as a major one. So stress is the villain, is the worst enemy of the human body right now. Mind is a neutralizer, but mind needs to be attuned to a certain dimension of brain activity, and to stay attuned to that dimension at least once a day for no less than 15 minutes in order to neutralize the stress that has been accumulated and to give it enough time to strengthen your immune system. And that means a person learning to enter the center of the brain frequency spectrum, which means 10-cycle vibration. They have found that the 10-cycle vibration is a healing vibration, especially when you're dealing with the human energy, dealing with magnetic energy, dealing with electrostatic energy, and so on. Meaning that any field of energy that's pulsing on 10 cycles, especially magnetic or human, it strengthens the immune system. But how it does it, they claim, this research begins with a scientist by the name of Dr. Schumann. He discovered the means to detect and measure the pulsing energy in space. And he found that the energy in space, electrostatic and magnetic, is pulsing at 10 cycles per second. Now they have taken the 10 cycles per second magnetic pulsing and taken it to the lab, for instance, and they have selected an enzyme and have destroyed 90% of the health of the enzyme, and then separated it in different compartments and placed each one in a different energy field at a variable frequency to find out, is there any other energy field that could help bring back the health of the enzyme, and maybe any other frequency that could also help do it. And what they found at the end of the project was that the only frequency and the only energy field that brought back 90% of the health of the enzyme was a weak magnetic field pulsing at 10 cycles per second. So they've gone beyond this to find out what really happens, and they're finding out that what's happening in matter, in live matter, that this frequency and magnetic energy, when penetrating animate matter, it stimulates the subatomic particles in matter. So when you function on 10 cycles, your brain teaches your brain to function on 10 cycles, and you remain on 10 cycle brain frequency for 15 minutes, what you're doing is stimulating your subatomic particles in your body chemistry. You see, body chemistry contains subatomic particles, and the body chemistry is controlled by the immune system. So when you stimulate the subatomic particles in body chemistry, you're also stimulating your immune system to get it to do what it's supposed to do, to remove the stress factor and to strengthen the immune system. That strengthens it right there. So a person, to stay healthy, should learn to stay on 10 cycles, guaranteed, not that they tell you are, that you need to be sure that you are, a 10 cycle brain frequency for at least 15 minutes once a day, and stay healthy. Now, if you develop the first symptoms that are indicated when stress starts hurting your body, and that is the initial symptoms, the first stage, where stress is hurting your body, meaning you're living a wrong kind of life somewhere along the way, you're not doing the right thing for yourself, then it reflects on insomnia, headaches, or peptic ulcers, and the peptic ulcers along with it. Now that's the first indication, first stage indication, that something is happening to your immune system, is weakening. If you do not correct it by going to your level, meaning going to 10 cycle brain frequency and staying there for 15 minutes once a day to correct the problem, because if you do, then you're strengthening your immune system, and your immune system takes care of correcting the peptic ulcers or correcting insomnia or your headaches. So they will disappear then. Now if you don't, if you have not learned to do this, then the second stage of noticing that the immune system is getting weaker because of a buildup in stress. That means the second stage are the chronic ones, the chronic health problems such as glaucoma, arthritis, high blood pressure, and hypoglycemia. Now, this condition is the second stage of the weakening of your immune system. Now, if you are in that level or at that level with health problems, then you need to go to your level, the 10-cycle brain frequency, twice a day for 15-minute periods to neutralize the stress buildup and to strengthen your immune system to help your doctors heal your body faster. If not, if you do not help from within, your doctor is going to tell you that you need to be under medication for the rest of your life. And that's what happens. Now, if you help from within, then it will be a permanent cure. Otherwise, it would not be. You need to learn to help yourself from within using your mind, controlling your mind to function on 10-cycle brain frequency twice a day for 15-minute periods to relieve yourself of such a problem. If you have not learned to do this, and you continue building up the stress, you might get involved into the third stages, which are the final stages that might kill the body, which is leukemia, cancer, multiple sclerosis, strokes, and so on. So this could kill you then. So then, if you are at that level and doctor is trying to help you with conventional medication, to be able to help your doctor, you must learn to go to your level, the 10-cycle brain frequency, 3 times a day for a period of 15 minutes each, so that you can, from within, help your doctor or help the medications be more effective and get cleared of such a problem. So in health, mind is a very powerful thing to have in your favor and to learn how to control. Well, usually as young as a child can understand what you're saying. It's old enough now to learn how to use his mind. And in fact, papas and mamas should have known how to teach their children to use their minds, so that they would all develop the use of both brain hemispheres to think with, not only one, like 90% of humanity is doing. If papa and mama would only know how to train the child, what exercises, mental training exercises, they need to practice between ages 7 and 14, they would need mind control. They would need to go to school to learn how to control their minds. It's a very simple training exercise. And later we're going to discuss how to do this for papas and mamas, how to teach your children how to do it. A person who learns to use both brain hemispheres has 2 dimensions for thinking, 2 sets of senses to become aware of, to use, and 2 brain hemispheres. Now, that's the ideal. The ideal because geniuses and highly successful people who have been brought to the lab are found to be using both brain hemispheres. They're among the 10%ers. The right brain hemisphere reigns in the invisible world of the mind, and the left one reigns in the visible world of the body. Okay? So we're missing, the matter of functioning in one full dimension where we do not use the world of the mind dimension or control it. You see, everything has to happen first, remember, in the world of the mind before it can happen in the world of physics. So the right brain hemisphere, the one that has to do with visualization and imagination, this is the creative process. Using the right brain hemisphere, you start things off from nothing, from scratch, to convert or to transfer things from the invisible world into the visible world. You need to use your right brain hemisphere, or else it will never happen. We happen to have discovered the formula to be able to operate that section of the brain, the right brain hemisphere. By coincidence, we stumbled on it. So we have discovered that particular function. And not only do you need to have the correct formula, but you need to also learn how to work the formula correctly. There's 2 different phases about formulas. Not only have the right formula, but you need to learn how to use them. So we have learned not only to use the right formula, but also to use it correctly.